My cousin stole my son's surgery money and flew to Paris. She didn't know I could see everything. I'm not proud of what I thought about doing. But when I found out what my cousin did, what she took, I swear, something inside me snapped. Because when you steal from me, that's one thing. But when you steal from my child, that's war. It all started with a phone call I'll never forget. Mrs. Langford, we need to schedule the surgery immediately. If we delay another month, the bone might set wrong. That was the orthopedic surgeon talking about my son, Jacob, 7 years old. A goofy, bright-eyed kid who broke his femur falling off the monkey bars at school. It was a freak accident. One second he was laughing, the next he was screaming, and I was in an ambulance trying not to panic. The surgery was going to cost more than I had. $14,200, to be exact. Insurance covered part of it, but our deductible was a joke, and the hospital needed the rest up front. So I did what every desperate single mom does. I hustled. I worked doubles at the diner. I babysat on weekends. I sold my car and started taking the bus to work. And slowly, I scraped together the money. All of it. Every cent. I kept it in a dedicated account called Jacob's Surgery Fund. It was my lifeline. His lifeline. Then my cousin Brittany came to visit. She's the type who always looks like she's in a perfume ad. Blonde waves. Fake lashes. Designer bag she definitely can't afford. She breezed into our apartment with this huge Starbucks cup and bigger attitude. "Oh my God, this place is so cozy," she said, eyeing the cramped living room like it might bite her. I hadn't seen her in over a year. She claimed she was in town to reconnect, but I should have known. Brittany doesn't do anything unless she benefits from it. We chatted for a while, and when I mentioned Jacob's surgery, her face did this weird twitch. "Wait, you already have the money?" she asked, sipping her latte. "Yeah. Took me 6 months, but I did it." She smiled. Not a happy-for-you smile. A calculating one. 2 days later, the money was gone. I logged in to schedule the transfer to the hospital and saw it. Zero balance. $14,200. Vanished. I called the bank in a panic, sure it was a glitch. It wasn't. A friend I'd authorized, or rather, someone who used my saved login in 2FA, had wired it to another account. An account under the name B. Langford. Brittany. My own cousin. My blood. I was shaking. Hyperventilating. I called her. She didn't pick up. So I texted. "Brittany. What did you do?" She replied 5 minutes later. "Hey hun. Don't freak out. I just borrowed it. Jacob's young, he'll bounce back. Kids heal fast. And I really needed this trip. I haven't been to Paris since 2019. Self-care, babe." I swear, my vision went white. That night I sat on the floor of Jacob's room, holding his little Spider-Man sock in my hands, and sobbed like an animal. I had to tell the surgeon we had to delay. I had to look my son in the eye and pretend everything was okay. And I had to watch Brittany post Instagram stories from the Eiffel Tower, twirling in her brand new dress, captioned, "Hearts heal. Legs too. Paris heals everything." And that's when I stopped crying. That's when I got very, very quiet inside. Because Brittany had no idea who she just messed with. And by next week, she'd wish she broke her leg instead of mine. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't hurt immediately. At first, it just stuns you. Like a punch to the gut you didn't see coming. Then the pain hits. Then the rage. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling, thinking about Jacob's x-rays. The way the doctor showed me how his bone was angling the wrong way. If we wait too long, he might limp for the rest of his life. And meanwhile, Brittany was doing wine tastings in Versailles. I wanted to scream. But instead, I opened my laptop. See, Brittany's a narcissist, but a sloppy one. Her whole life is online. Public profile. Open stories. GPS tags on everything. And I knew something about her she seemed to forget. That account she transferred the money to? It was in her own name. She didn't even try to hide it. And even worse for her, she used my old laptop to log into her bank. The one I let her borrow during the pandemic when she wanted to get into crypto. She never returned it. I'd assumed it was collecting dust somewhere. But she never logged out of iCloud. Rookie mistake. All I had to do was enable Find My Device. Bingo. I was in. Within 5 minutes, I had access to her notes app, calendar, saved passwords, and even some of her hotel bookings. She was staying at a luxury hotel in Paris. The kind with velvet curtains and champagne breakfasts. I clicked photos. Big mistake. Not because I felt guilty, but because it made my blood boil even more. There she was, posing in front of the Louvre, in a $2,000 coat. The same one I'd once complimented when we saw it in a store window. She had used my son's surgery money to buy it. The next morning, I made 2 calls. First, to Brittany's bank, pretending to be her. I had just enough of her info, thanks to my digital snooping, to raise some eyebrows. Hi, I'm calling about a fraudulent transaction. I think my cousin might have gotten into my account. That froze the account instantly while they investigated. Second call was to my old friend Kevin. Kevin works in tech. The kind of guy who builds apps no one understands and sells them for 6 figures. He also used to date Brittany. She ghosted him after he paid for her lips and lashes. Say less, he said. Send me her handle. By that night, her Instagram was flooded with spam comments. Her email was linked to 40 newsletters in Russian. Her booking at the Paris hotel? Cancelled, courtesy of a fake card dispute. I didn't even have to lift a finger after that. Kevin was creative. But the real masterpiece came 2 days later. I filed a small claims suit online, attaching every screenshot, bank logs, messages, even her idiotic "kids heal fast" text. I included one sentence in the claim description. She used my son's emergency surgery fund to buy Chanel. Then I sent the full file to her employer. Because here's what Brittany didn't know. She worked in early childhood development at a private daycare. And they really don't like people who steal from children. The fallout hit fast. On Thursday, I got a call from Brittany. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Her voice was tight. Panicked. Hey, listen, I didn't realize this would spiral like this. Can we just talk? Talk? You mean like how I tried to talk when Jacob couldn't sleep from the pain? Or when I had to cancel the surgery and explain to my baby why he had to keep wearing that awful cast that made him cry at night? I didn't delete the voicemail. I saved it. Then I watched her live story go up in real time, a selfie in the Paris hotel lobby. And right there in the background, security was walking toward her. The first call came at 3:42 a.m. I was half asleep, phone buzzing on my nightstand. Paris was 9 hours ahead, so I already knew who it was. Brittany. Cousin B. Ironic she never thought to change that after robbing me blind. I stared at the screen for a second. She let it ring and ring and ring, then went silent. I waited. 30 seconds later, another call. Then another. Then my phone blew up with messages. WTF did you do? Are you insane? They're saying I stole from a child? I smiled. Guess she finally got the email from her job. Guess they finally saw the screenshots I sent of her bragging online about self-care and kids healing fast. Guess her bosses didn't think it was cute to use a child's surgery fund for a vacation in Paris. By the 4th voicemail, she'd gone full meltdown. You ruined my life. I lost my job. I'm stranded. They froze my account. I have no money. No way home. Are you happy? No, Brittany. I'm not happy. But I'm satisfied. 3 days before the call, she had laughed at me. When I begged her to return the money, she replied with, "You're so dramatic. You think Jacob's the only kid who ever broke a leg? It's not that serious." Now here she was, alone, in a foreign country. No access to her credit cards. No hotel. No way to fly home. And no one left to manipulate. Because when her parents found out, they were furious. Not at her. Oh no, that would make sense. They were angry at me. For escalating. Aunt Carol called me crying. You didn't have to go this far, she sniffled. Brittany made a mistake. Family forgives. Family helps each other. I laughed in her ear. Oh, now you care about helping someone in the family? Where was that energy when Jacob was crying himself to sleep? She hung up on me. Typical. The next morning, I woke up to silence. No more calls. No more texts. I guess Brittany finally got the message. Or maybe her battery died. Either way, the timing couldn't have been better. Because while she was pacing some Paris sidewalk in last season's heels, I was meeting with a social worker at the hospital. The surgery was back on. A local charity, the one that Kevin connected me with, agreed to cover 90% of the cost after hearing our story. Jacob would get his operation in 2 weeks. And Brittany? Well, she was about to learn what rock bottom in Europe felt like. 2 days later, she showed up in my DMs again. They kicked me out of the hotel. I'm staying at some gross hostel. Someone stole my stuff. My passport's gone. Are you seriously going to let this happen? Let? Oh, Brittany. This is happening because of you. But I wasn't cruel. I wasn't heartless. I did reply. One line. Kids heal fast. Remember. She left me on read. It was 6:17 a.m. when the knock came. I was getting Jacob ready for school, stuffing his backpack with snacks and pain meds for his leg, when I heard it. 3 soft knocks. Pause. Then a sigh. I knew that sigh. Aunt Carol. I opened the door, and there she was, still in her pressed blouse, pearls, and that same nauseating floral perfume. Only this time, her eyes were puffy. Her mouth, tight. She didn't speak at first. Then, she's scared. I raised an eyebrow. Brittany. She has no money. Her passport's missing. She says she's cold, hungry, she's at the consulate crying. I let the silence sit between us. Let her squirm in it. Because I had cried too. On the night I found out the money was gone. When Jacob told me his leg hurt on the inside. Aunt Carol swallowed. Look, I know what she did was awful. But she's still your family. We all make mistakes. I didn't even flinch. She made a choice, I said calmly. And now she's living with it. Her voice rose. She's your cousin. And Jacob's my son. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then she tried again. Please. Can't you at least send her enough to fly home? I smiled. Then I pulled out my phone. Scrolled up to that message. The one Brittany sent after draining the surgery fund. Kids heal fast. And I turned the screen toward Aunt Carol. I already sent her something. She blinked. And then I hit send. Same message. Same emoji. Kids heal fast. That's when it hit her. Her face dropped, as if seeing her daughter clearly for the first time. She's not like this, she whispered. She's just under pressure. I shrugged. She wasn't under pressure when she was sipping wine on a balcony and tagging me in photos as a joke. She wasn't under pressure when she said Jacob would bounce back. She wasn't under pressure when she laughed at me begging her to give the money back. I stepped forward, not angry, just done. Your daughter stole from a child in pain. And now you're standing here asking me to fix it again. Aunt Carol looked like she wanted to argue. But there was nothing left to say. She left without another word. Later that night, Brittany emailed me. Not texted. Not demed. Emailed. That's when I knew she was truly desperate. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want to come home. Can you please call the embassy and tell them the money situation was a misunderstanding? A misunderstanding? No, sweetheart. It was theft. Grand larceny, depending on the state. I didn't reply, but I forwarded the email to her employer anyway, just in case they needed more reasons to keep her fired. Meanwhile, Jacob was healing. The charity had come through. The community pitched in. Even some of my coworkers at the diner passed around a card with $10 bills folded inside. People, real people, showed up. And Brittany? She was about to get her own kind of homecoming. Because in her panic, she forgot one little thing. When you report a passport stolen to the embassy, they run your name. Brittany always thought she was untouchable. She'd spent her whole life floating through problems, charming, manipulating, ducking consequences like they were optional. But reality? Reality doesn't care how good your Instagram filter is. Because when she walked into the U.S. Embassy in Paris, fake crying about her stolen passport, she had no idea there was already a report filed with her name on it. By me. 3 days earlier, I had officially filed a theft report. Online. Simple. Clean. Straight to the point. $14, 200 stolen via unauthorized transfer. Suspect, Brittany Langford. Known family member. Motive, personal travel. I attached the screenshots. The messages. The timestamps. The evidence was bulletproof. So when she tried to play the damsel abroad card at the embassy, the system flagged her name. They pulled her aside. They started asking questions. And that's when she cracked. I didn't know any of this at first. I was home, making grilled cheese for Jacob, when my phone buzzed with a text from Kevin. Yo, check your email. It's happening. I opened it. And there it was. An auto notification from the embassy portal I'd signed up for. Case status, escalated for further review. Subject detained for follow-up. I blinked. Reread it. Brittany was detained. Not arrested. Not in handcuffs. But she was no longer sipping lattes under the Eiffel Tower. Now she was in a cold office, being asked why her financial records showed a sudden transfer from a single mother, days before an international flight. And you know what the best part was? I didn't have to do anything. I wasn't the villain in this story. I was the mother of a child who almost didn't get surgery because a selfish, image-obsessed cousin wanted to heal in Paris. And now the world was finally seeing her for who she really was. That night, I got another email. From Brittany. Not dramatic this time. No emojis. No insults. Just, Please. I didn't think it would go this far. I swear I was going to pay you back. I was waiting for a brand deal to come through. I didn't mean to hurt Jacob. I needed a break. Please help me. Please. She didn't even say his name before. Now suddenly she didn't mean to hurt Jacob? I closed the email, then opened another one. From the surgeon's office. Hi, Mrs. Langford. Jacob is confirmed for surgery next Tuesday. Thank you for getting everything sorted. I stared at it for a while, then looked over at Jacob, curled up on the couch watching cartoons, cast propped on a pillow. And I smiled. She took from him. She left him in pain. And in the end, she stranded herself. The next morning, her mom called again. But this time, it wasn't to beg. It was to blame. You've destroyed her life. Aunt Carol snapped. She might be facing criminal charges. I didn't yell. I didn't even argue. I just calmly said, she destroyed herself. I just turned on the light. Then I hung up. No drama. No fight. Just peace. The thing about people like Brittany? They don't stop digging. Even when they've hit the bottom, they just grab a bigger shovel. After the embassy incident, everything went quiet. No calls. No texts. No surprise knocks from Aunt Carol trying to sell me on forgiveness. I thought maybe, just maybe, they finally understood. I was wrong. Because 4 days before Jacob's surgery, I got a message from her dad. Uncle Rich. The one who never shows up unless it's someone's funeral or someone's wallet. It was a wall of text. Like a guilt grenade. She's your cousin. You really want her to go to court over a misunderstanding? Brittany's not a criminal. She just made a poor choice. You've made mistakes too, haven't you? Don't act like you're better than the rest of us. Be the bigger person. Be the bigger person? I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. But instead of replying, I forwarded the message to Kevin. 10 minutes later, he called me. Hey, he said, you sitting down? I paused. Why? Because I just found out what Brittany did with the rest of the money. My stomach tightened. What do you mean, the rest? I checked the bank logs again, he said. That $14,000 transfer? She didn't blow it all on Paris. And then he sent the screenshots. Not just hotel bookings. Not just fancy dinners. But crypto transactions. NFTs. A handbag reselling site. She hadn't just stolen the money. She had gambled it. Brittany had tried to flip the funds, turn Jacob's pain into her profit. But instead of winning big, she lost most of it on a rug pull scam. Some influencer-led coin that crashed 90% in 24 hours. That was the real reason she was stranded. The real reason she emailed me begging. She didn't just spend the money, she set it on fire. Now I had proof. Not just that she stole, but that she never intended to give it back. Not in a week. Not ever. The Paris trip was just the show. The real plan was greed. Suddenly, everything made sense. The fake apologies. The crocodile tears. The brand deal lie. The I needed a break speech. She was never coming back with that money. She thought she could double it. Return it later. Look like a generous hero. Instead, she looked like exactly what she was. A selfish girl who bet a child's health on a get-rich-quick scheme. I waited a full day before replying to Uncle Rich. She didn't just take the money. She gambled it. Look into her crypto wallet if you think I'm lying. Then I sent him the screenshots. A minute later, my phone buzzed again. Aunt Carol. Calling. Decline. She tried again. Decline. Text followed. We didn't know. Oh my God. We're so sorry. Please. Just don't press charges. Oh, so now you're sorry. Now that the image of poor Brittany is replaced with crypto scammer who used a child's medical crisis as capital? Too late. The legal wheels were already turning. Jacob's surgery happened the next week. It went well. Better than expected. He came out of the anesthesia groggy, whispered, "Did Spider-Man ever break his leg too?" I laughed, kissed his forehead, and told him Spider-Man broke everything once or twice. That night, I sat by his bed while he slept. I opened Brittany's latest email. Please don't ruin my life. And without even thinking, I typed back. You did that yourself. Send. Then I powered my phone off and watched my son sleep peacefully for the first time in weeks. 3 weeks passed. No new calls. No new begging. No new guilt trips from the family PR team. Just silence. It almost made me nervous. Until Kevin sent me a message at 6:44 a.m. Your girl's back in the States. He attached a blurry photo taken by one of his Reddit friends who worked TSA. And there she was, Brittany, dragging a scuffed pink suitcase through customs, looking like the ghost of an Instagram influencer. Her lashes were half off, Her designer bag looked fake. Her roots were growing in, and her expression? Pure dread. She was coming home, but not to applause. Not to family hugs or welcome back balloons. No, Brittany came home to something else entirely. Because while she was sobbing at the consulate, crying about misunderstandings, I was busy. I had filed formal charges. The court date was set. The paperwork was done. The sheriff's department had been alerted to her return date, just in case. But they didn't have to act, because the real punishment was already in motion. When Brittany landed, her phone lit up with missed calls. From her boss, who fired her again, in writing this time. From her landlord, who had officially evicted her. And from her credit card company, who wanted to discuss multiple suspicious overseas transactions. But that wasn't even the best part. The best part? Her brand deal finally wrote her back. Hi, Brittany. Due to recent legal issues associated with your name, we've decided to terminate your partnership agreement. Please remove all promotional content from your pages. Oops. Turns out stealing from children isn't great for your image. I didn't see her for a week. Didn't hear a word. I assumed she was hiding out, licking her wounds, plotting another sob story to sell to the family. But then I got a message request on Instagram. From a burner account. No profile picture. No posts. Just a DM. You got what you wanted. I'm broke. I'm alone. Are you happy now? I stared at it for a while. And for a second, a tiny second, I almost felt something. Not guilt. Not pity. Just done. So I didn't answer. Didn't block. Just left it on read. But it didn't stop there. Because Brittany, being Brittany, couldn't just fade out gracefully. No. She had to make one more move. And that's how I ended up getting served at my job. Right there at the diner, while I was pouring coffee for a regular, some guy in a blazer walked in and handed me a manila envelope. Inside? A cease and desist. She was trying to sue me for defamation. The same cousin who stole from my child was accusing me of ruining her reputation. I nearly laughed in the guy's face. Instead, I opened the envelope slowly, calmly, tucked it under the counter, and called Kevin. Time to finish this, I said. I'd never been to court before. I always imagined it'd be scary, formal, stiff, full of people in suits using words I'd have to Google later. But standing there across from Brittany, it felt peaceful, like watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion. She showed up late, of course, in heels too high, makeup too thick, and an outfit that screamed rich lawyer's girlfriend instead of defendant in a fraud case. She wouldn't even look at me, just sat at the plaintiff's table, flipping her hair and whispering to the public defender like she was starring in some Netflix legal drama. The judge came in. We stood. We sat. And then it began. Her case? Weak. She claimed I had maliciously exaggerated events online to destroy her career. She even quoted my texts, the kids heal fast face blowing kiss nail polish, 1, the embassy screenshot, the forwarded messages to her job. She said it painted her as a criminal. The judge raised an eyebrow, then looked over at my file. Ma'am, she said, turning to Brittany, you transferred over $14,000 out of your cousin's account, without consent, to fund personal travel, then attempted to invest the funds. And you did, in fact, post multiple public stories indicating you were aware of the surgery your cousin's child needed. Silence. Are you denying that this happened? Brittany opened her mouth, closed it. Her lawyer jumped in. Your Honor, my client was under significant emotional stress. The judge held up a hand. Stress is not a defense for theft, Mr. Callahan. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. The paper trail spoke louder than I ever could. Bank statements, messages, social posts, crypto logs, booking receipts, and most damning of all, a voice message Brittany left me the night after the money vanished. Kevin had helped me recover it from iCloud. I'll pay you back. Relax. You're acting like your kid's gonna die or something. God, single moms are so dramatic. When the court played it, the whole room went still. Even her lawyer looked like he regretted waking up that morning. The judge took a moment, then delivered the verdict. This court finds no evidence of defamation or malicious intent. Instead, we find sufficient grounds for counter-litigation related to the unlawful transfer of funds and personal damages. Wait, what? The judge looked at me now. Would you like to formally pursue financial restitution, Ms. Langford? I blinked. I hadn't planned for this. But then I looked at Brittany, lips trembling, lashes clumped, foundation cracking. And I smiled. Yes, Your Honor. I would. The final judgment? Brittany owed me $18,612. That included full reimbursement of Jacob's surgery fund, additional court fees, and a $3,000 penalty for emotional distress and malicious neglect. The judge didn't even blink. You have 60 days to begin repayment or face garnishment of wages and seizure of assets. Brittany's mouth fell open. Assets, she croaked. The judge turned the page. You own a Louis Vuitton bag, a pair of Louboutin heels, and a MacBook Pro valued at $2,400. Boom. Outside the courthouse, she finally snapped. You think you won? She hissed. You humiliated me in there. I looked her dead in the eye. No, I said calmly. You did that. I just let the truth speak. She lunged like she wanted to slap me, but her lawyer stopped her. You really want to get arrested too? He muttered. She froze, and for the first time, looked genuinely scared. Not because of me. Because she was finally out of cards to play. 60 days. That's what the judge gave her. 2 months to start paying back what she stole, the court would come knocking with real consequences. So what did Brittany do? She got creative. Which, for her, meant stupid. First, she sold a few things on Facebook Marketplace. Nothing serious, a pair of shoes, some knockoff bags, a barely used air fryer she probably borrowed from her ex. Then she posted a cryptic Instagram story. Sometimes the universe breaks you down, just to rebuild you hotter new era. She was broke, but still posting thirst traps. Still pretending she was healing. But what she didn't know was that I had already filed a collection tracing request. Court-sanctioned. Legal. Efficient. And it flagged everything. The PayPal deposits. The Cash App transfers. The sudden appearance of $1,200 into an account under a different last name. Langby. Brittany thought she was clever. She thought dropping half her name would hide her trail. It didn't. And when the court's financial investigator called her, she panicked. I got the voicemail from my lawyer 2 days later. Hey, so your cousin tried to open a second account under a modified name. We flagged it. The court's preparing a garnishment order. I just sat there for a minute, staring at Jacob, who was finally walking again without crutches. He was laughing at something on the iPad, some goofy game with a dancing potato or whatever. And I realized, this was it. Not the money. Not the legal win. This. My son, whole, healthy, unbothered by the chaos we'd walked through. And Brittany? Still spiraling. Still posting. Still pretending she wasn't falling apart. That same day, she texted me. From a new number. You're obsessed. You're literally stalking me. Why can't you just let it go? I replied with 2 words. Garnishment begins. Blocked. She tried again. This time through Aunt Carol. Of course. Because when all else fails, Brittany runs crying to mommy. Aunt Carol left me a long voicemail full of sighs, dramatic pauses, and emotional blackmail. Sweetheart, she's been through so much. Haven't you punished her enough? Do you really want to ruin your own blood over money? Money? I laughed out loud in my kitchen. That wasn't money. That was my son's surgery. That was my sleepless nights, my shifts at the diner, my bus rides in the rain. That was my life. And Brittany took it. Then called it a break. I replied with the only thing I knew would hit hardest. A photo of Jacob in his physical therapy session. Smiling, standing tall, holding a tiny sign that said, I did it. No words. No caption. Just that. Aunt Carol never responded. Brittany didn't either. But a week later, the first court-mandated payment hit my account. $632.41. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Not because of the number. Because it came with a receipt. Garnished from account ending in -7,289, Lang Brittany. Proof that no matter how much she lied, ran, twisted the truth. The system caught her. And for once, I didn't have to fight. I just had to stand still and let her destroy herself. 6 months. That's how long it had been since the court order. Since the judgment. Since the garnishments began. Every month, like clockwork, I'd see a small deposit. $600. Sometimes less. Sometimes late. Always from Lang Brittany. She never contacted me again. Not directly. But I knew she was watching. Her accounts were private now. No more Eiffel Tower selfies. No more Paris heals everything quotes. Just blurry food pics. The occasional meme. And silence. I didn't care. Jacob was running now. Not limping, running. He'd started soccer again. I bought him new cleats with one of those payments. And when he scored his first goal after the cast came off, he turned to me in the stands and shouted, "I'm Spider-Man again." I cried, not because he said it, but because I believed it. He really was. Resilient, strong, healed. And then, just when I thought the story was over, she came back. Not through court. Not through Aunt Carol. No. She showed up in person. It was a rainy Thursday. I had just finished my shift at the diner. My feet hurt. My apron was wet. And there she was, standing by my car in the parking lot, umbrella in one hand, envelope in the other. Her face was thinner, eyes tired, nails chipped, hair in a tight bun that wasn't fooling anyone. I didn't say a word, just stood there, keys in hand, waiting. She swallowed. I just wanted to say sorry. I blinked. For what? She hesitated. Everything. The money. Paris. The lies. The messages. The court stuff. All of it. I stayed quiet. She offered the envelope. It's the rest. What I owed. I sold some stuff. Thought it was better to give it to you than let it get garnished. I looked at the envelope. Didn't take it. Not right away. Instead, I looked her in the eye and asked, "Why now?" She looked down. "Because I thought I ruined your life. But I didn't. You're still standing. And I'm not." I nodded. Not with pride. With peace. Then I said the one thing I knew would stay with her forever. That's the difference between us. I built. You borrowed. She blinked, lips trembling. I took the envelope, got in my car, and drove off. No yelling. No dramatic closure. No mic drop. Just peace. I haven't seen her since. Jacob's cast is long gone. His laughter isn't. The surgery is paid off. The bank account is full again. And me? I'm not angry anymore. Because people like Brittany? They dig their own graves. All I did was stop offering them a ladder.